Hey guys, thanks for sticking around. We have a couple questions that came in. This is my lovely wife, Tracy, for those of you who don't know.
And
I never hug Chris or Ryan when I'm up here. But we had a couple questions come in. Thank you guys for submitting those. One that came in, and I'll just kind of quickly ask about it. I'll get Tracy's input as well. One that came in between services was kind of this activity thing, like whatever you do, we're doing it all. So, Lord, whatever it is, it's always and everything. Well, it was a simple question like, what about sin? Like, what if you're doing something that's not pleasing God? And it's like, well, I would still classify that as worship. It's just not worshiping God, obviously. There's an aspect of how we've been called to live, and I am giving the presumption that whatever we're doing, even in the ordinary things that we would probably look at as being amoral, right? Sleeping is not good or bad.
Right.
Eating's not good or bad. Well, I guess eating could be too. But, the example is, you want to be doing things that honor God, but that's part of that, life of worship, part of that preoccupation with God and helping us understand that's probably one of the things that we need more of in our life if we find ourselves drifting to all the things that might be natural but might not be things that are honoring God. So
yeah, I think that preoccupation is kind of that safeguard of those things that keep you from drifting into that point.
Yeah, there you go.
And that point of going from eating to meet a physical need versus now
gluttony.
We're moving into gluttony, which is a kind of a sinful indulgence.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the other questions that we had was, so you mentioned that the event or a time where people come together and worship, that there's a people that seek this moment where it feels like the Spirit is moving and doing something, yet you say that we all, believers, we have the Spirit in us already, so there's nothing really spectacular in a sense or different in a sense when that happens. So when we're searching for that's really kind of the wrong mindset. Can you elaborate on that?
So my biggest thing there is that when they talk about that experience as worship, as the definition of worship, is where they're wrong. The fact that is a moment in worship is not that it's not a moment in worship. Does that make sense?
Okay, so you're not saying that there's not anything different about those moments or different about those corporate gatherings where there's an experience happening or something that seems to be happening as a group dynamic.
I will tell you this, because of just basically what we believe theologically. In the Old Testament, the Spirit did not indwell anyone. The Spirit was outside of people. It was doing a work outside of people, which is why we have that example of the Shekinah glory coming down and God through Spirit this and the dove and all that kind of thing. The Spirit showed up in those ways. It was after Christ when he said, I'm going to send my comforter to you. He's going to indwell you, that it changed, that whole conversation changed. So I'm very careful with people to talk about that kind of more charismatic philosophy or ideology, that we're still looking for those moments where the Spirit shows up in a special way. Well, I'm like, they're still thinking externally. He's going to externally show up in your building. He's going to externally show up in this moment. And I look at it and go, but that's not how it works anymore. The Spirit is in you. So I would tell people that, listen, those moments that you're feeling when something is clicking, when something is happening, when it feels amazing, like the room is there, I would promise you that what's actually happening is more of the Spirit in people's lives are being revealed in that moment. More of that is, there's more people that have come to worship versus coming to a worship service. They've come with a life of worship to come and engage their hearts and lives. We've experienced that in services and other times. We've experienced that in small group settings when what was the like-minded, I'm trying to think of like-minded verse, when everybody's on the same page, right? We're all on the same page and we're all in agreement. There's something powerful that happens in those moments.
And I do believe that kind of drives a lot of those dynamics is when people are coming together, have that, like you say, have that same mind, but we come prepared and expectant. That is when I do feel like we see more of those kinds of moments where it does seem to set itself apart. Not that is the only type of, but one of many types of ways that worship is expressed in our lives.
Yeah, and I heard somebody, I said that in the sermon, I heard somebody make that comment about the veil of heaven is kind of, which I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's just more of a picture thing, like a little bit more glory shows up, But again, I want to be careful that people don't think it's external, that it's something that you have to have. You're calling the Spirit to come down. No, the Spirit's He's there in His fullness. You just got to make sure that you are focused on Him and that others are focused on Him and that you do things in a service that focus on Him. And I think that is when you do experience those things, I don't think it's exclusive to corporate gatherings. Again, I've had those moments when it's just me. in the car. So it's not again exclusive to the moment, but it is a moment in time which is different and special because God made it that way. I don't think, again, it's wrong. I just struggle a lot when people do that moment equals worship, and that's their definition. And I look at it and go, that's not, it is worship, but it's not what exclusively defines it.
And it's hard because a lot of people really do enjoy those kind of moments, and it's something that you often want more of, and you want to see it happen more often. And that's kind of hard to kind of not want to have that kind of where we're all in agreement and we're praising Him together and we're declaring His glory and we're just experiencing this joy, this unspeakable joy. And it is hard
I would challenge people that if that's where they are, that's great. Change your prayer, change your desire to be, I want more of something better. Because again, going back to that unsearchable richness, like, hey, what we did experience was great, but instead of wanting and wishing and kind of hoping for that experience, just say, look, I know God's got more and deeper and more full experiences for me, so just keep pressing forward in the journey. That would be my encouragement to folks. So awesome.
Sounds
all right,
good.
thanks guys. Thank you, Tracy, for helping today. We're gonna pick on Chris and Ryan for bailing. No, Chris had next steps, so that's what it was. We'll hopefully see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in and asking questions.